Hello YouTubers, and welcome back to Go Figure Customs YouTube channel. Time once again for a 2-minute tip and tutorial, and that is on sealants. One of the most frequent questions I get as a customizer that tries to help other people is, what primer do I use? But wait a minute, are we talking about sealants? Let's talk about primers first. I still use Tamiya Fine Detail Primer. I have not found anything better since Armory stopped making their primer. There's two different kinds. There's fine detail and just regular. I've not noticed any appreciable difference between them, other than you can get it if you're not careful, you can get on too thick of a coat, but it does tend to dry fairly well, so you don't lose a lot of your fine details in your sculpts. So I've done several videos on primers, but that is still what I use. So I feel like I needed to update that one because I still get that question. Probably the most frequently question I get asked is what primer I use. The next frequently most asked question that I get is, what sealant do I use? Now that one I am still like experimenting with, because like most people, I'm trying to get a matte finish, so not glossy finish on most of my customs. And I've had various results with the sealants that I use because, again, I used one from Armory and they stopped making it. But as my customs aged, I didn't like how the sealant aged on my customs from Armory, so I'm not sorry that I'm not using it anymore. So at this point in time, I had gone to the testers, and it says spray enamel on it. And boy, one of the hallmark no-nos of customizing action figures is you don't use enamel, right? Because it doesn't dry. You don't use enamel paint. The sealant does dry. I don't know why it says enamel on there. They used to have something called dull coat. I can't find it. This stuff works really well. I have also tried Modge Podge, which seems to be like the soccer moms that paint rocks. Don't worry, my mom paints rocks too, but she's not a soccer mom anymore. This is all this, she gave me this. Well, she gave me the gloss one. So it comes in gloss and matte. You can get this pretty cheap at Walmart. It does seem to work pretty well. However, I've noticed that there doesn't seem to be an appreciable difference between the matte and the gloss. I still get a pretty glossy finish even with the matte. However, it does seem to work pretty well. I have used the gloss. I was going to grab a figure real quick on that. I sealed my Hydra Supreme with the gloss. It's a little tacky in some spots where it got on kind of thick, so I'm not 100% sold on it, but it gave a nice finish. It's a little tacky. I have used it on, I used the matte finish on one of my other customs, the Challenge customs for JD. And it did seem to work pretty well. Again, it was kind of glossy. So what I did after it dried is I hit it with a coat of this. Because on the 9-line custom, I needed that custom to be bulletproof. Because I airbrushed the camo on, and airbrush puts on a very thin layer of paint. Way thinner than what you would paint on by brush. And it's very easy to get paint rubs. Super easy to get paint rubs with an airbrush. That's one of the most frustrating things that I have found since I've used the airbrush more and more, is that it's super easy to get paint rubs. So I need bulletproof sealants when I'm done. Otherwise, I'm going to get paint rubs, and especially on that 9-line figure that I did for JD, I needed it to be bulletproof because everything's removable, and I airbrushed the camouflage on the base, on the figure underneath all of the accessories. So I had to have that so it would not rub. So what I did was the Modge Podge matte, and then a coat of this afterwards, and it seems to work. My let's see, I don't remember where I got this from. I think my mom also gave me this because she was using it. It's Aleene's Original Acrylic Sealer Matte Finish. This stuff seems to work pretty well. I've sealed a couple customs with it, and I've not had any complaints with it. I'm pretty sure you can get this at Walmart. The one that I absolutely fucking detest is the one by Army Paint. I used that, and I used it on my Red Ninja Leader custom, and I did this at this beginning of the year, I think. This is months and months and months old. And on that soft plastic, it is still tacky. I don't know. My guess is that their sealant is, they're expecting you to use it on miniatures that are like metal or real hard plastics like resins, not action figures. I don't have the can to show you because I fucking threw it away because this is still tacky. I haven't gone over this with a second coat of sealant to see if I can knock that tackiness down. I like the finish that it gave me, but the fact that this thing is still tacky after 6 months just pisses me off because this stuff's expensive. It comes in a big can, so I had to waste it all. It probably would work well, like I said, on harder plastics, so like vehicle customs, but keep in mind some of the guns and missiles that go on your G.I. Joe vehicles and even your Star Wars stuff, anything that clips on or pegs in, those are softer plastics. So you could probably use it on shells of vehicles and be okay, but you know, don't risk it. I detest it, and I highly recommend that you stay away from that Army Paint sealant. I don't have, like I said, I don't have the can to show you because I threw it away. But at this point in time, that seems to be the best that I've found for a matte finish is the Modge Podge, and then sealing it again for this with the testers. The testers is fairly expensive. Unfortunately, this is not, and I don't know the price on this, and I'm still experimenting with this. I'm going to try this on my Red Ninja Leader and see if I can knock down the tackiness a bit. So there you go. That's what I am using for sealants at this point in time. I have not found one product, specific one product, that does exactly what I want it to do. I still get a fairly semi-gloss finish with these two. But considering like all these figures that you see on the wall in the background, those are carded customs. Those are my customs. So I kind of want them to look a bit production. So I'm not as bent around the axles I used to be about matte versus gloss finish, because when I put it on a card, I want it to look production. And, you know, production figures do have that like semi-gloss to almost a gloss finish on them sometimes. And so I'm not as upset about the finish as I used to be when I did like exclusively Navy SEAL customs and I wanted those matte. I wanted no shininess on those at all. But there you go. That's what I'm doing for sealants right now. Do you have a sealant that you like? Comment below. Do you have a 2-minute tip and tutorial that you would like to share or like to see on here? Comment below. As always, do that fun social media stuff. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below. I always try and get back to everybody that's commenting. And thanks for watching.